Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm glad that I can share with you another reading of poetry in honor of the first Wednesday of every month. That was an open mic that Tom Woodruff ran and may soon run again after COVID in Austin, Texas at Half Price Books on North Lamar. So I would like to share with you poetry from the brand new Down in the Dirt magazine issue/book, which is titled, named after accepted piece in here, A Door is a Door is a Door. I've photographed doors over the years at different locations and fascinating places, and I never thought that I would have a reason to have 18 doors sitting on covers of a book. So I hope you guys enjoy these. I'm going to share with you maybe 7 poems or from the absolute back of this book for a reading for you guys. I hope you enjoy them. And this first one is titled Our Waste in Space, and it was actually written on the 12th of November, which is for the 1984 date of the first attempt to salvage errant satellites from space. You know, you put so much stuff up there, you gotta get rid of it. You can't just leave all that waste in space. This is titled Our Waste in Space. It seems that when we humans lay claim to any space, the first thing we instinctively do is clutter it up. Because it seems to be our nature to claim something by then leaving our trash all over it. We can't help it. As humans come to dominate a whole new space, we leave our waste behind to show how we leave our mark. For the footprints on the earth will be the big cities, but it's more than merely streets and buildings and cars, but clutter. For when fast food chains take hold, we humans forget how to clean up after ourselves, and we toss wrappers and styrofoam cups, plastic straws, plastic silverware, and even those unrecyclable tops of fountain drinks. See, the mess the so-and-so left behind, that is our way to say so-and-so is here. It's how we leave our mark. If you think I'm kidding, just try to fly amongst all the satellites now orbiting Earth, with a good portion of them now not even working. But we don't have to worry about debris in outer space, do we? Because to fly something in outer space, just to try to retrieve something lost in space, seems way too expensive, and if we don't see it, why would we need to worry about it anyway? Because we humans have gotten too used to pitching our old equipment after we get something better, and what do we need that old junk for anyway? We spent our lives overfilling landfills, but outer space, hey, there's like a ton of space there. I'm sure if we leave a few more satellites spinning out there errantly, no one will know the difference. And as I said, that is just what we humans do. We want to build something bigger, faster, stronger. We want to build something better. And then when we do, we just let that old stuff float away. Because what do we need all that old stuff for anyway? Our waste in space. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the next poem for you through the end of this book, for Down in the Dirt, is titled Judged on Looks, and it was written on the 13th of November on Sadie Hawkins Day. I vaguely heard of this holiday before, maybe in high school, when the premise was that women asked men to dances, because, you know, this was a ludicrous idea. The men were the ones who were supposed to be asking the women out. And back in high school, I went so far as to ask a male friend of mine to go to prom. We were just friends. I wasn't going to have a boyfriend date, and I thought this friend would be most fun to hang out with in this ritualistic high school quote-unquote holiday. But I just read that the origins of this holiday were from Al Cap's comic strip Little Abner. when Sadie Hawkins was actually homely and no one wanted to be near her. So her father had all the single men run out of town, and the only one she caught would be forced to marry her. Now, this popular section of a comic strip incited future Sadie Hawkins dances, where women were the ones who could ask the men to dance. And yes, looking back, it may sound ludicrous when some women may feel we have power now, but in the same breath, it's also funny that a silly story in a comic strip may have helped to incite change for women, all because a comic book woman was ugly and wasn't married by the time she was 35. Sorry that we're still so judged on looks, woman. So let's keep working past sexism in that uphill battle in this patriarchal society, even when an older comic strip's a stepping stone. That's so frightening to think about, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? I am going to share with you, I don't know, I've got a couple more poems for you guys from the end of Down the Dirt magazine. This first one is titled No Peace and Rise to Power. It was written on the 19th of November, on the birthday of Indira Gandhi, born on the 19th of November in 1917. So, this is about her. No peace and rise to power. This woman of the millennium was the first and only female prime minister. With setbacks for gaining power in India, she started a new party, which won. Even after ruling for years, others still said that she used devious tactics to win. High courts ruled against her, ousting her from her power. But she called a state of emergency, enacting restrictive laws to save herself. The public was then outraged. She was even briefly imprisoned for corruption. So she tried her old success tricks again with starting another political party. Because, you see, the new Janata Party led to the fall of India's government. So believe it or not, Indira Gandhi's quote-unquote corruption didn't stop people from sweeping her back into office, and the only reason she is the second longest-running Prime Minister of India is because of her assassination in her own garden by her own bodyguards as revenge for attacks on the holy Amirstat shrine, in protest for India's political integrity. And as for integrity, and Indira Gandhi, labeled as corrupt, keep in mind that her husband, named Gandhi, was of no relation to Mahatma Gandhi, but the young girl joined Mahatma Gandhi wearing khaki or natural hand-woven clothes to protest British-made textiles. Remember that women can know peace and still rise to power, repeatedly. And you can claim corruption, but Indira Gandhi worked to remove mass poverty, which, with clear vision, iron will, and the strictest discipline, and her administration brought equal pay for equal work to both sexes, now as a part of Indira's Indian constitution. Indira believed that women could do all men could do, that they could do all that men could do if they were given the chance. And Indira Gandhi took that chance whenever she could, even telling her aunt, quote, "Someday I'm going to lead my people to freedom, just as Joan of Arc did." Indira Gandhi ruled a nation, won battles, and even fought for change, not because she was driven as a woman, but because she was human. Indira Gandhi, called the greatest mass leader of the last century, made changes for women with her clear vision, iron will, and her strict discipline, not because she was a woman, but because it was right. Remember this. and take stock in everything you can do, because you know you are right. This next poem is called Forget About Politics, and it was actually written on the 22nd of November, the 1963 day that President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. People forget politics. There is a brief moment in history when people forget their political affiliation. There are brief moments when something sudden happens and it makes people stop. Barack Hussein Obama, a very leftist Democrat, touted his Illinois ties to Abraham Lincoln, a Republican president, and hoped no one would notice the difference. But what we remember is that Lincoln was fatally shot, and we remember the injustice of such a hasty, rash act. Republican President Ronald Reagan said to operating room surgeons after he was shot, "Please tell me you Republicans." But as I said, at times like these, we forget our political affiliations. We only want to help or lend a hand, unless the news is too shocking to believe, and we all can't shake that state of shock. We see the news, we hear the news, we read the news, and we think, this can't be. This isn't supposed to happen. But here we are. And for a brief moment, humankind forgets our political affiliations, and we try to figure out how to put the pieces back together before we can unite and move on. We can talk about a lot of presidents being assassinated in that one, but that was for John F. Kennedy. This next poem is titled Unwind and Revere Yourself. It was written on the 23rd of November, which is on the fourth Saturday of the month, in this case when it was written, for International Aura Day. This one's for International Aura Day. It's called Unwind and Revere Yourself. When I was so stressed out from work, from the weaker sex, doctors gave me drugs because the doctor thought there was something physically wrong with me. So I got away for a few weeks, and I went to visit my parents, and well, this was while they were still alive, and I sat in the sun and I tried to unwind, and I realized that my stresses were what I ran from. So I decided then and there to stop taking medications, and I mentally got rid of those things that hurt me so, and it worked. Sometimes you can just get away. Sometimes life seems too tough and you don't know what to do. And at times like this, when your aura seems too weak, sometimes you need to take a moment, walk into a Buddhist temple, not to revere a god, but to take a moment, remove your shoes, and take a moment so you can revere yourself again. I'm going to share two more poems in this reading for you from the end of Down in the Dirt magazine. This first one is called Expand and Save Yourselves, and it was written on the 26th of November for the 1504 date of the death of Queen Isabella I of Castile. It's funny, looking back on history, how Pope Alexander VI also recognized King Ferdinand II and Queen Isabella I of Castile as a servant of God in 1974, posthumously in the Catholic Church. Who knows? That may have been because these two completed the Reconquista by ordering of either conviction or exile of all of their Muslim and Jewish subjects. But why mess your head with the history of religion when her marriages to Ferdinand was then the basis for Spain's de facto union, and it was only her struggle to claim her right to the throne that she reorganized the government, eliminate the national debt, and bring the nation's crime rate down to their lowest level in years. With all this extra money, she was even capable of financing Christopher Columbus's 1492 voyage, leading him to the discovery of the New World, though it wasn't new to the natives here, making Spain a global power for a century. But you see, those were times not of love. Did you really expect to find love in loyalty? But in betrothing little girls, little boys for future family alignments for national power. So Isabella was betrothed at the age of 6, despite familial deaths and power struggles to destroy the chances of these two children marrying each other, even though they were cousins. That didn't stop royalty till they eventually got what they wanted. Isabella came to rule in 1474, but Castile was in a state of ruin from King Henry VIII. King Henry IV, correct me, King Henry IV, her brother's reign. Even though her brother named her as a successor, people tried to kill her, and war ensued for years for control over the Atlantic. So the whole discovery mess with Christopher Columbus actually freed Castile from this difficult predicament, because this discovery of a new world led to a much more balanced sharing of the seas. In all of this war, telling Columbus to go to the west was the only way the Spanish monarchy could think of the future expansion. And with that out of the way, Queen Isabella, Isabella in Spain, was finally able to start reforming the country King Henry IV, her brother, left in such disrepair. At this point, I guess I could rehash the things that the Queen did to improve and expand her country, but all I can think about right now is how Isabella made the choice to take a chance to explore and look at what it did for her country. I think of this on the day that she passed away, a day so close to Thanksgiving here in the United States. Exploration during war. That pioneering spirit has been ingrained into this country for good or for bad. But when faced against impossible odds, our only option seems to be to see what is out there for us to learn from and explore. Okay, I'm going to share one more poem with you guys, the absolute last poem in the book, and it is titled Queen's Rule. It was written on the 25th of November for the 1454 birthday of Catherine Purana, the last queen of Cyprus. She died in 1510. Like, you needed to know that, but this is called Queen's Rule. When life is filled with women treated as ancillary, some consolation can be found when you can hear the year James II, King of Cyprus, James the Bastard even, is the year he chose Catherine for his wife, which she accepted by proxy when she was 14, until 4 years later when she was able to travel to marry. But James the Bastard, the King of Cyprus, died soon after their marriage, and according to his will, his pregnant Catherine acted as regent. Her infant son died before he even reached his first birthday, meaning this woman ruled over all of Cyprus, this beautiful island, until she was forced to sell her republic to Venice. So, this last Crusader state became a colony of Venice, and its last queen, on horseback, rode away in silken robes, with her accompanying ladies and knights sobbing at leaving the land she loved. Many cried with her, well, she was even allowed to retain the title of queen. Now, this young girl, accepting a proposal at 14, has since had charitable organizations exist in her honor, and operas were even written about her as well. It may have been heartbreaking to lose her love, then lose her only son, but even then, a king knows that a woman might have all the right answers on exactly how to run things right, as only a woman could do. History can see the influence a woman could be, because this one last queen got her opportunity to be the peak, the finale of this island's dynasty. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was your poetry fix from this most recent issue of Down the Dirt magazine. A door is a door is a door. And I might be able to read some more for you for the first Wednesdays for community poetry in honor of the open mic from Top Wardrobe for Happy Price Books. I hope everyone stays safe, and I will talk to each and every one of you very, very soon. Thank you all so very much.